Hello, it's Ashton Lewis.
And I'm Daphne Lynn.
And you are listening to the
NDE World Podcast.
Welcome to the NDE World Podcast. I am your host, Ashton Lewis. In the studio with me, I have my lovely hostess, Miss Daphne Lynn. And hello, how are you, Daphne Lynn?
I'm absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much for asking. I'm really looking forward to diving into these universal laws. I've been loving doing this series. It is amazing, and it just those action steps, and I love taking them. So I hope the listeners are enjoying it as well. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Absolutely fantastic. Now, you had mentioned the universal laws. I know you've been kind of really been wanting to dive into these, and me as well. These are part of an actual series, guys, that we were actually producing at the time, and we've got like 4 releases or episodes already out on the actual introduction of this Universal Divine Oneness that we refer to UDO. It's the acronym UDO, and that UDO is that Universal Divine Oneness. So be sure to check that out, and we'll tie it all together here shortly. But before we do, welcome everybody, and don't forget to go to the website NDE.world for more information on who we are and what we do, and also the Universal Laws book that we are actually going to be sharing all of this knowledge with you can be found on the NDE World website. Again, NDE.world. And just when you get there, just go ahead and click the bookstore link, and it'll take you to it. It's Universal Laws. But yeah, and also any suggestions for episodes or any kind of anything you want to talk about, feel free to contact us.
Even for book suggestions, because we're adding this to the website just for those that are interested for growth. Yeah, and if it pertains to the NDE world's spiritual transformative experiences, STEs, most definitely share that knowledge so that we can get a link to the book if we don't have it on there, and that way everybody's aware of what's going on in the world.
Absolutely. And once again, that website address is
NDE.world.
Moving right on along. Okay, guys, this is the universal laws that we've been talking about and been wanting to just jump into and really get a good ground into this stuff. But what we had to do first, and we're going to kind of do like a little brief overview. Like over the last few episodes, we were just more or less introducing the concepts or the basic overview of what UDO is, this Universal Divine Oneness. Some of the takeaways are this: one must understand the mind. Okay, that is a universal law, and we'll get into that later. And I think it's the foundational law of hermetics as well. Yeah, the all is mind. Yeah, that universal law. But you have to understand that there is this universal all that is all and in all. Okay, and we have what's known as the separate consciousness or the separate self-consciousness. Okay, which is how we have all broken away from the all, or from the pure divine consciousness, and mankind's objective is to find their way back to the source, find your way back to your highest, greatest good.
Yeah, and I was just going to add to that, we believe that we are separate from every human out there, every part of this world that you can pinpoint, that you can't pinpoint, that we're aware of, we are part of, and beyond, right. Throughout into the universes that are out there. And all things are in harmony and under this universal laws, and except for mankind. And that's where we have to help raise the consciousness and awareness of this. And why I love doing it, because it is so fulfilling, it is so enlightening to learn these things and apply them in your life and make these most positive changes.
Right. And a lot of people don't realize it, guys, but these laws surround all of us. We all are affected by them, whether you want to believe it or not. It's got nothing to do with a religion, okay? Because a religion, you can change it. You can even change the religion itself if you don't like what you're hearing or what you're feeling. Or
Belief systems change every day.
That's right. You'll change and you'll go somewhere else, okay? So this is not religion. This is known as universal laws, and this is what the greats taught. All of the masters, the ancient ones from the beginning of time, that we are aware of, and we're able to go back and really get a lot of this information to be able to bring it to all of you, you know?
Yes. And there's such beauty in it. I mean, when you can start making the changes in your own life, and then you start seeing the results of you living in harmony with these universal laws, it's profound.
Right, absolutely. And when you really understand, say religiously speaking, in a lot of religions, prime example, Jesus. You know, I love the role that Jesus plays in the Bible, but I also understand, you know, the real Jesus of history, and actually the Jesus of, you know, of the Bible. And you know, it takes a while to really get to that point, but you'll understand and realize there are different characters, you know.
Exactly, yeah.
And but the Yeshua, I like to use the name Yeshua because that's his name, of history. He was associated with the Essenes. I don't know how deep and all, but you know, he was, and these guys were in perfect 1,000% in harmony with the universal laws. Okay, the Essenes, they lived in harmony, everything, and they taught and they believed in these universal laws. Now,
all the masters did.
Exactly. Jesus himself taught the universal laws. Now, let me give you an example of universal law. Now, even Hermetics, what comes to mind. A while ago, we talked about the mind, you know, being the first principle in Hermetics. When we're talking about the actual universal law of cause and effect, okay, that's another Hermetic principle. That is a universal law that you cannot get around, okay? Let me give you an example. Jesus himself used and taught the law of cause and effect. In the Bible, it's called reaping and sowing. That you reap what you sow. That is the universal law of cause and effect. You see, Jesus did not teach religion, okay? Jesus was not like the Bible teaches that, you know, that's an external something. You know, the real Yeshua of history taught the oneness, that God is within, the kingdom is within, that you are one, he is one, that we all are one, you know? So that's what he really taught.
Yeah, that's actually covered in a lot of the Gospel of Thomas.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, there's just so many books out there that share his teachings that have been taken out of the Bible because they lose control. The powers that be lose control when you learn these principles.
That's right, guys, and it's all about control and fear. You know, there are entities out there that are feeding off of fear. Now, back to the subject at hand here. So people like Yeshua and the masters, and you know, the ones who were these highly spiritual beings, they know that the universe is one, okay? They teach a oneness that is within all of us, okay? So that is that UDO, that Universal Divine Oneness, or Christ consciousness, a lot of people refer to as Christ consciousness, okay? It's that highest, greatest good that you can be, you know, as a human. You know, so
do unto others.
Absolutely. So they taught these different principles, okay? And the beauty of the principles is that you cannot, like we mentioned earlier, you cannot break these laws. And if you do, you know, there are consequences, okay? And if you look around the world today, well, besides it just being mankind's illusion of separateness, okay, and their selfishness, that's the core of the evil that's around us today, because people aren't living in harmony with the universe, okay? So you have to live in harmony because you are a part of nature. You are alive. You are a being. You are real. You're here, okay? All this other man-made stuff that's been made and created and all this stuff, that's the stuff created here on the physical world. It's alive. It has energy. Don't think it don't. Even your thoughts have energy, you know, and are alive.
They are energy, yeah.
Yeah. So just think about that. But you have to, before you go into this understanding of these laws, just understand there is that one Universal Divine Consciousness, okay? And we are all part of that Universal Divine Oneness, okay? And also that separate self-consciousness, don't forget, is the other consciousness that you have to be aware of, because that is the consciousness of the world. That is the illusion of separateness, okay? Which is, again, where all the issues come from. Now, the universal laws, what we're going to do, and don't forget, you can go to NDE.world and go to the bookstore. You can get your copy. But the universal laws, we're going to break them down and just run through the list real quick. There's over 200. It's 200 plus. I don't remember how many there are. But we're just going to run down the list real quick, and then we'll take a couple of them and show you how this system is structured, okay? And this whole book is in harmony with the actual UDO system, so we're going to be talking about that as well. So what we're going to do, let's just go and jump into the actual book itself, Daphne, if you don't mind, maybe reading the introduction there.
Of course,
and
yes.
any opening comments, and then what we'll do, let's just run down the list real quick, just to throw out different ones, okay?
And then go to covering each.
And if you see something that pops out or something you want to comment on, we'll even stop and, kind of comment on it. But I definitely want to show the readers, at least today, on how the system is when we start getting to the actual universal laws and how they can apply them. So,
yes.
Go ahead and read the intro.
Okay, so the introduction says this, that the universal laws are considered to be fundamental, unchanging principles that govern the universe. These laws, which were first acknowledged by ancient cultures, are so old and widespread that it's challenging to trace their exact origins. Despite the elusive roots, these laws have remained integral to various philosophical, spiritual, and scientific perspectives throughout human history. Universal laws are a testament to the profound and enduring wisdom of ancient cultures. Their principles remain relevant and powerful, offering guidance and insight into the nature of reality and our place within it. As we continue to explore and understand these laws, we gain a deeper appreciation for the interconnectedness of all things and the infinite possibilities that lie within the fabric of the universe. And I do have this to say, because we just heard from one of our guests that the universal laws are just that. They're universal laws. All
everywhere, not just here.
Beings everywhere are under these laws.
That's right. That's right. And you can't get around it. You think you can, and you'll even try it, but somewhere, sometime, somehow, it will come back. And, especially I keep thinking of the law of cause and effect, the reaping and sowing. If you plant out some bad, guess what? Somewhere down the line, you're going to have to harvest that bad. Mm-hmm. You plant out the good, you keep putting the good, planting seeds of good, positive, loving, upbuilding, that's what you're going to harvest, but that's that cause and effect. But we'll get into it here shortly.
Yeah. And saying this with the universal laws, there's so many of them that you may or may not be putting into practice in your life, and we're going to cover them alphabetically.
Just easier to read. Yeah, we'll run down the list.
A lot easier going alphabetically than actually numbered. I don't think they're actually numbered, just alphabetically is the way we're going to cover it.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. So let's take a look at these laws, the universal laws, okay? There is the law of abundance. Now, each one of these have their own structures, what they are, how they affect everything, and how to tap into those laws. We're going to share that with you. Let's move on along. The law of absolute, the law of acceptance, law of accountability, law of action, law of adaptability, law of alignment, the law of ascension, law of attraction, the law of authenticity, the law of autonomy, the law of awareness, the law of balance, law of belief, law of boundaries, the law of cause and effect, the law of change, law of charity, the law of choice, the law of clarity, law of coexistence, law of commitment, law of communication, the law of compassion, law of compensation, law of connection, law of conscious decision, the law of consciousness. Daphne, would you like to take the next page?
Sure. It says the law of consistency, the law of contemplation, the law of contentment, the law of contrast, the law of cooperation, the law of correspondence, the law of creativity, the law of crucifixion, interesting, the law of curiosity, the law of cycles, the law of deception, the law of decision, the law of decisiveness, the law of dedication, the law of detachment, law of determination, the law of dignity, the law of discernment, the law of discipline, the law of discovery, the law of diversity, the law of divine oneness, the law of duality, the law of emotional balance, the law of empathy, the law of empowerment, the law of energy, the law of enlightenment, the law of equanimity, the law of evolution, and the law of expansion.
Moving on along, next page, the law of expression, law of fear, law of flexibility, law of flow, law of focus, law of forgiveness, law of free will, law of fulfillment, law of gender. That's a hermetic that comes to mind on that one there. Law of generosity, law of gestation, law of giving, law of goodwill, law of grace, law of gratitude, law of growth, law of habit, law of harmony, law of health, the law of healthy habits. Wow, I didn't even know that was a law. I bet it's probably something about living and eating in harmony with the natural way. I do know that. I believe in that, so I'm sure that'll cover that. Let's see, the law of honesty, law of honor, law of humbleness, the law of humility, law of humor, law of identity, law of illumination, law of illusion, interesting, law of imagination, the law of inevitability, law of inner contemplation, that's a good one, law of inner self. Okay, and another page.
Moving right along, law of initiative, the law of insight, the law of inspiration, the law of integrity, the law of intention, the law of interconnectedness. We talk a lot about that. The law of interdependence, the law of introspection, the law of joy, the law of justice, the law of kindness, the law of light, the law of love, the law of magic,
Wow.
the law of manifestation, the law of mastery, the law of mentalism, that's a hermetic, the law of mind, which is another hermetic principle, the law of mindfulness, the law of miracles, the law of moderation, the law of mystery, the law of nature, the law of natural food, the law of negativity, the law of neutrality, the law of non-attachment, the law of non-bias, the law of non-interference, the law of non-judgmentality, the law of non-partiality, the law of non-reactivity.
Very good. I can just tell by these different names of them how it's just like running through my mind. It's like, wow, yeah, we just even on a daily experience these laws, and do we just like go through life, just experiencing, not really paying attention to them? Just think if you can actually acknowledge that, hey, you can work in harmony with these laws.
Exactly.
And learn how to bring more joy in your life, more love, more kindness.
And that's the purpose for us covering all this, is so we can be aware of these, we can apply these, and we can make that transformation.
Absolutely. Moving on along, next page. Law of non-resistance, law of nurture, law of observation, law of oneness, law of openness, law of open-mindedness, wow, law of opportunity, law of opposites, law of patience, law of peace, law of perpetual transmutation of energy.
Ooh.
That's a big word, a bunch of big words here. We'll cover it all, guys, don't worry. Law of persistence, okay, the law of physicality, laws of physics, law of polarity, law of positivity, law of possibility, law of power, law of practice, the law of presence, law of priority, the law of purpose, law of radiance, interesting, law of reality, law of reconciliation, law of reflection, law of relationships, law of relativity, law of renewal, law of repetition, and law of resilience. Next page.
Wow. I'm hearing so many of the Hermetic principles in these. I really am. And it just amazes me how it all just ties together.
It is. And all these can be applied in Hermetics because it is universal laws. And Hermetics or Hermeticism is based on universal laws,
Exactly.
So they have the main 7 or 8, that is the foundation. But
Right.
when you really start getting into it deep, it's all tied in together.
Yeah, it really does. It really does. Okay, so continuing on, because we do have a few more to go. It says the law of resonance, the law of respect, the law of response, the law of responsibility, the law of restraint, the law of rhythm, the law of sacrifice, the law of self-awareness, law of self-control, the law of self-deception, the law of self-discipline, the law of self-esteem, the law of self-mastery, the law of self-responsibility, the law of self-sacrifice, the law of self-willingness, the law of service, the law of silence, the law of simplicity, the law of sowing and reaping, the law of soul, the law of space, the law of spirit, the law of spiritual alchemy, the law of spiritual growth, the law of spirituality, the law of stillness, the law of strength, the law of subconscious, the law of success, the law of surrender, the law of sympathy, the law of synchronicity. Some of these I really cannot wait to delve into. The law of spirit, the law of spiritual alchemy, spiritual growth, spirituality, and especially the ones on the self awareness, control, deception, discipline, esteem, mastery, responsibility, and sacrifice and willingness. These are some that you really going to have to reflect within.
Absolutely.
All of them you really have to reflect within.
It all goes hand in hand.
But it's just like, I can't wait. I'm so excited about these. I really, really am.
Me too. Let's go ahead and catch this last page. It says there is the law of thought, law of time, law of transformation, law of trust, law of truth, law of unconditional love, law of understanding, law of uniqueness, law of unity, law of universal consciousness, law of universal love, law of universal will, law of values, law of variety, law of vibration. Another Hermetic there. It's not just Hermetic, but I know that it's one of the foundationals.
Right.
The law of visualization, law of vitality, law of vulnerability, the law of will, law of wisdom, law of wonder, law of work, and law of worth. Now, keep in mind, these are in no specific order as far as importance goes, because they are all powerful and they all have equal importance because they are universal laws. They are just in the book for easy access. If you want to look up a certain one, you can go straight to it. It is in alphabetical order, so All right. Now, before we go, let's look at something right here, like the law of autonomy. We'll go into it in a minute, but the word autonomy. Daphne, would you like to read that right there? When it comes to, I like how it's on this. It's really opening into the book. It's called the Word of the Day. All autonomy. Now, autonomy is a universal law. Now, keep in mind, guys, how this works, and then we'll start going into a couple of laws for you.
So the law of autonomy underscores the importance of self-governance, independence, and personal responsibility in shaping one's life and choices. It emphasizes the freedom individuals have to make decisions and act in alignment with their own beliefs, values, and desires, while also respecting the autonomy of others. Since every being can self-govern themselves, it would stand to reason that everyone incarnates into this realm with everything that one needs to experience what we call life here on Earth, a complete built-in system. And I have said this many times, that we are born with everything we need. We don't come into this world with any kind of book, any kind of scroll, no matter what time frame you're in. You are born with your skin suit, and that's it.
What about this, Daphne? This kind of gives me a different perspective on things. I don't know what reason to believe that, and I've heard this and believe it in a degree that when a child, anyone that comes in, you're already pure. You are close to source, but you get tainted by the world. In other words, you're not born a sinner. You come into the world as a sinner. You see what I'm saying? That is part of the program. And you come into this world as God coming to experience. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I do, and I get that. And with you saying that, it just really made me think about what the Jehovah's Witnesses, one of their governing body members, had said about children being born and the little enemies of God. I mean,
right? Think about that.
Come on, really?
This is their leaders.
This is
the cult
pure
leaders.
Innocent children here.
Yeah,
They're enemies of God.
Yeah.
Well, maybe the enemies of their God.
That's right. That's right. But you come into this world. That's the point of autonomy, guys. Is you have everything that you need to be able to, you are a built-in system, okay?
Yes.
However, because of you being influenced, indoctrinated, raised, however you want to look at it, by your parents can be your number one influence. They start your ego, okay? Your parents create your ego, okay? They start it. All right, now let's throw in the media. Let's throw in the television. Let's throw in the radio, the music, what about the schooling system, the education system, the peers at work, at school with you, the religious system. Okay, religion gets a hold of the child at a young age, and that ego is created at a young age by the parents and the religion in a lot of cases as a set, because the parents will start taking a child at a very young age and indoctrinating them and creating the self, the ego. Now, that when someone comes into the world, we'll also throw in like your political system. That's an influence. Just the governments, the countries we live in, but everything around you has created the illusion of you, that separate self person. Okay,
exactly.
that selfishness. You know what I'm saying? That separation, the illusion of, and that's what we call ego. Okay,
right.
And that's where most people live.
Yeah, and that's why we have said so many times to really take time and get to yourself alone, wherever your happy place is, find it, and go and reflect within. Really determine, who am I?
Kill the noise.
Yeah.
Get away from the noise, guys. You cannot pray or meditate, whatever you want to call it. You cannot get into that state where you need to be with noise. You have to be somewhere quiet.
Yeah, because, I mean, if you want to take it to Scripture, that still small voice, that is within.
Yeah. Go
that's
within.
Not external, that's within.
Go in your closet, that metaphor, or the temple.
Exactly, yeah.
It's in your temple. Kingdom is within. Now, the autonomy, okay? The autonomy, it really just underscores, like it says, that everyone has the ability to self-govern themselves, okay? And that if everybody came into this world and with that, and practiced that universal law, then we would help each other as a whole, instead of molding individuals into what we think they are, you see?
Right.
just keep that in mind. The autonomy means not only that you have the ability and the responsibility, okay, you are a built-in system, but you also have to act like it, okay? You
Right.
cannot pass the buck. You cannot put that responsibility on someone else. That's what that means. And you do not have the right, because you have to respect other people's autonomy as well. That, hey, I can't govern that person. I can't control that person. I can't,
Which ties directly in with the law of non-interference.
Non-interference. Absolutely. We'll cover those as well. Now, let's do this. Okay, now that we've went down the list of the actual different laws, Daphne, let's pick a couple of them out of the list. Let's see. Yeah, we've got time. Just go through and pick a couple of them, and what we'll do is we'll read it, okay, and then kind of give the steps on how it's broken down, just to show people how the actual book works, because this book, again, is going to be read in harmony with the UDO information, okay? And we're going to be applying these laws with that book, okay? So, but I just want to kind of give everybody an idea how it works. So,
Sure.
Go through the list and pick you out a couple, and then I'll pick out me a couple, and we'll go ahead and read each one of those laws, those sections, okay?
Right.
So,
Well, I had picked the law of autonomy simply because, we are all self-governing sentient beings.
right.
And there it's like a 17 steps in this information for autonomy.
Wow. I
So
see that.
there's a lot to this. It's not just, okay, I'm this, I'm aware of it. There's steps and practices that we can take
To master it.
understanding and yes, putting it into
Never
practice.
master, but yeah, I know what you're saying.
Putting it into practice.
Yeah. Well, let's do that. Well, I'll tell you what. Looking at the length of this, let's just pick one each. And it's mainly just for demonstration purposes, because once we get into the book, we'll break all of them down, one by one, and as we need them in the UDO system. Well, let's just take the law of autonomy, since there's all these steps. Open up with law of autonomy, read about it, and go ahead, write just the way the book does, and then we can comment on each step as we go along, and that will kind of give the listeners an idea how we'll approach these, each one. So you pick that one, and then I'll go through and pick one, and we'll go ahead and wrap it up.
Okay, so the law of autonomy is the importance of self-governance, independence, and personal responsibility in the shaping of your life by your choices. Okay, so how do we apply the law of autonomy in our lives? Self-reflection is number one in these steps. And that is because, like I said, you have to go within. You have to engage in self-reflection to understand your own needs, desires, and values. And then when knowing yourself is fundamental to exercising the autonomy.
Yeah. So what about that? It comes to mind, know thyself.
Exactly.
That's what resonates, How many people do you think that really know themselves? Most people are just sheep on the way to the slaughter. Most people are spoon-fed. Most people don't want to take the time to really look into this stuff. So this is going to take action on your part, guys. But what we're doing right now is Daphne sharing with you these actual steps that we're breaking down to actually bring more of an awareness to you about the law of autonomy and being able to practice your own governance and your own will to be able to be the best person that you can be, at the same time respecting other people and not getting involved in interfering with their walk as well.
Exactly. And you're going to see that throughout these steps.
Teachings, yeah.
It says, it is respecting your own boundaries and those of others as well. So the second step is to clarify boundaries. We have to establish clear boundaries in our personal and professional relationships. Respecting your own boundaries and those of others is essential for autonomy, which is self-governance.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it says, you've got to respect your own boundaries. First of all, you've got to establish boundaries. What are your boundaries? What are you willing to tolerate? Okay.
Exactly.
What are you willing to take, give, that balance? I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. The realization, because when you realization that you are in control of your own life, you make your own decisions, and what's going to rule that is, of course, the law of love. But that love all, harm none. You know, that'll be your main drive. But, you know, you have to do self-reflection, like you said in step 1. Step 2, clarify your boundaries. You know, think about that. What have you actually told people what your boundaries are? You know, what about the person you're in a relationship with? Have you sat down and said, you know what, I like this and I love this and I love that, but this is how, you know, if you say a certain thing or if you do a certain thing or whatever, I was kind of raised a different way. You know, I don't like that approach. Maybe take a different approach when you talk to me or communicate. You know, how do I communicate with you? What's the best way we can do? I mean, do people really sit down and set boundaries? You see, most people just get into relationships. Well, most of it, free flowing. A lot of it's just for the sex. You know, it gets old and they're out of it. You know, I don't want to do this anymore. You know, and anyway, that's a different story. But the point is, you know, are you really sitting down? With it. Yeah, exactly. Are you setting boundaries? What are your boundaries? You know, right. If you are going to self-govern, okay, then there needs to be boundaries set. Okay, you have to set your own boundaries.
Most definitely. Number 3, to make informed decisions, to seek out information and consider various perspectives before making decisions. Informed decision making empowers you to act autonomously.
That's right. In other words, start practicing on using your own mind, guys. That's where everything starts. When you control your mind, then you can control your world, your destiny, your life. Yeah. Okay.
Step 4. Assertiveness. Practice assertiveness in expressing your thoughts, feelings, and preferences. Assertive communication helps you to advocate yourself while respecting others.
The assertiveness is a communication style characterized by confidently expressing one's thoughts, feelings, and needs in a direct, honest, and respectful manner. I love that. It involves standing up for oneself while also respecting others, ensuring that one's own rights and boundaries are maintained without infringing on the rights and boundaries of others. Assertiveness is a key component of healthy interpersonal interactions and is often associated with higher self-esteem and more effective conflict resolution.
Very nice.
So this is hand in hand. Assertiveness is hand in hand with the law of autonomy. You know, but like it's brought out here, stand up, be bold, but be respectful. You know, you can get your message across without, you know, saying something mean or harmful to somebody else, and they have to respect you as well. If not, then, you know, you'll have to go to plan B.
Right. Okay, so step 5 is to set personal goals, and we were talking about this earlier. You know, to define your goals and aspirations based on your own values and your own desires. Pursuing goals that are meaningful to you, enhancing your sense of autonomy.
Never underestimate the power of goals and personal goals. Today goals, tomorrow goals, next week goals, next month goals, next year goals. Yeah, just never underestimate the power of goals, but be persistent in defining your personal goals based on your values and your beliefs. So that's putting your autonomy into action. You are taking control of your life, and that's what this is about, guys. If you cannot even get a hold of your own autonomy and even start with these basic steps, then it's going to be even harder. You know, but you have to start putting these things into practice. And once we start really getting into this, and we'll start breaking them down and doing a lot of the actual practices together with you guys, you know.
Right. Now, step 6 is one that I really appreciate because, I mean, it says taking ownership of your own actions. Taking responsibility for your choices and actions, both positive and negative. Owning your decisions fosters a sense of empowerment and autonomy. So you see so many people placing responsibility outside themselves.
That's right.
You say you point the finger out that way, but guess what? Like I've heard so many times, there's 3 more pointing back at you, so it reflects back to self. You have to take responsibility and ownership
of your choices and actions.
Of your actions, yes.
Yeah, like I said, it is a discipline.
Yeah. Which
would tie in, and we'll get into those. In fact, what we'll probably do is when we start setting all this up, we'll really look into a lot of the self laws, like the self-discipline, the self-responsibility, because we need to have an understanding of that and get a foundation of that, because you've got to have those to even be able to start tackling a lot of these big laws, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
Okay, so
perfect.
Step 7, respect others' autonomy. And we've talked about this before, love all, harm none.
Right.
So honor the autonomy of others by respecting their choices, their beliefs, and their boundaries. Recognize that everyone has the right to self-determination.
That says it all. Honor the autonomy of others. And respect their choices, their beliefs, their boundaries. That's what's wrong with the world today. That separate, selfish,
one thing that comes to my mind in reading this is in honoring the autonomy of others by respecting their choices and their beliefs and their boundaries. Religions tell you go out here and you change everybody, make them believe what you believe. That's not self-governance.
It's more money for the business.
Let them be who they are. Stop trying to change everything. Set your goals, your boundaries, but don't try to change who these people are in your life.
That's right. And never, ever get into a relationship, never thinking that you're going to change that person or there's something about that person that you don't like is going to change down the road. No. You're going into a relationship where you're breaking the law automatically.
Right.
You see, you're not going into the respect and the autonomy. If you're thinking you get into something where you're changing somebody, then you're in the wrong relationship, because you've got to be in a relationship where you've got to let that person be who they are.
Exactly.
That is what this is all about. You have no control over another person, not even your own children. When they're little and infants and children small size, yeah. Well, you'll always play the role of parent in this incarnation, sure, but you don't have an authority over another soul because, like we say, they was probably your parent in a lot of different, past lives. Who knows?
No telling.
That's got nothing to do with it. The point is, let them be who they are. That's the law of autonomy. That's the universal law, guys.
And non-interference.
And so many more that we're going to be,
Exactly. We're gonna see how all of these tie together.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
When you realize your oneness with everything, the collective of all things.
Yeah.
So, and there's such beauty in this when you can apply these and really say, oh, wow, I'm doing this or I'm not doing that. I need to work on this one. I need to work on that one. Okay, so one thing on step 8 says to seek feedback. Many of us don't do this. Welcome feedback from trusted sources, but ultimately make decisions based on your own judgment and values. Autonomy involves weighing input from others while maintaining independence in decision making. Very
good. That's very important, guys. Very, very important. So many people you can't even talk to them because they're already know-it-alls. Know-it-all-itis. Let's do that.
There you go.
Nah, it's not even a word, guys. I'm just being silly. But the point is, a lot of people you cannot talk to, okay, because they already know everything and they're very defensive and they don't know how to take other people's, input, other people's advice, other people's, and all of us at different levels are guilty of that and have been at least some points in life.
Right. And one thing I see that I have done in the past and I'm working on, that is where you just automatically say, well, I would do it this way or I would do it that way. This person may not even be asking you for any kind of feedback.
Yeah.
That's what we really have to be aware of, is stop saying, well, I would do it this way.
Right.
But what about this person? Are they really asking for any kind of help or information from you?
Or are you just imposing your own belief systems?
Exactly.
You're breaking the law of autonomy.
And there's so many of these steps. I mean, we're not even halfway through this yet.
Yeah.
And it is just on autonomy.
Right. So think we got over 200 laws we're going to be covering, guys.
Yes.
So you're going to be a whole new person when this is all done.
Yes, when you can apply these, it is so life-changing.
Yeah, and we do have systems coming in with the UDO system that actually teaches the actual breakdown on how to put all these into effect. So
yes,
it's going to be life-changing. We're just kind of really going over the actual book itself. And again, go to NDE Go to the bookstore on there and get your copy. Now, moving on here to number 9, Miss Daphne, would you like to continue?
Practice self-trust. Trusting yourself, because so many of us say, oh, I don't even trust myself.
Or I can't do that. I don't know how to do that. I can't, I hear people say, no, you can do anything you want to do, guys.
Exactly.
Just say I can. Start saying, just change the I can't to an I can, and you would be surprised on what I am
exactly.
capable to do.
So in cultivating trust in our own judgment and abilities, and trusting yourself allows you to make decisions confidently and assertively.
That's right, guys. If you don't have trust in your own self and your own being and your own thoughts, then you're going to be misled. You can be led by anybody, anywhere. So part of autonomy, or that law, putting it into practice, is you have to have enough confidence and trust that you are God. You are source. You are divine. You have that light in you, okay? And it's up to you whether or not you want to live in that light or you want to live in the dark side. Because that is really the two options.
Right.
You are either in the light, which is love, or you're in the darkness, which is fear.
Okay, so moving on. Number 10 is embrace failure as learning. View setbacks and failures as opportunities for growth and learning. Embracing failure without fear of judgment enhances our autonomy and resilience.
That's a good one, Daphne.
Yes,
Any comments on that?
Of course, we really just have to look at all things as learning experiences, whether it's, something we've done good at or something we're lacking in. Embrace it and move forward, growing and learning from that experience.
Right. So many people look at failure, and failure shouldn't even be a word, because it's all words, guys. We just use words to describe things, but
Right.
failure has a negative connotation to it.
It does.
Oh, you failed. Oh, that team lost, or playing a game with someone. Oh, you lost, or you failed. And that is an illusion, guys.
That's saying I'm better, or
that's that self. Okay, and it's making yourself pout and feel bad. So you both are dwelling and sulking in
one's
self.
gloating and one's
Yeah, their self is suffering. So the point is, don't worry about all this stuff. Just get back to that oneness, and understand that if people want to share something with you, or if you make a mistake in life, there's no such thing as mistakes.
Exactly.
It's all learning, guys. You do
We're
not
here to
fail. You
experience.
fail if you quit and never do it again. That's when you actually fail. But other than that, it's impossible to fail.
Right. We're here to experience and let others experience as well.
And also it says to embrace learning as well. So you want to
Exactly.
learn and you want to grow.
Learning and growing, exactly. So number 11 is engage in self-care. We all need to practice this more than what we do, people. I'm raising my hand on this one. So prioritize self-care practices that nourish your physical, emotional, and mental well-being. Taking care of yourself is a fundamental aspect of autonomy.
Very good. And we are going to be tying in the actual laws of, balance, and the laws of wellness, and the laws of,
All
eating
of the
natural,
laws.
the laws of nature, the natural foods and all that. So it is tied in, but it's very important to be mindful of, like it says here, to actually prioritize and self-care your practices that nourish your body, your mind, your overall being, because the more healthier you are, and of course you don't want to do whatever you do. God knows whatever you do not even put a drop of alcohol in your mouth, guys. From my understanding and studying of the masters, that's one of the first things they will teach you. It was so serious that it was even ritualistic in the great masters. When you get into the story of say like Jesus of the Bible, the man, the Yeshua that was the actual character built off of, in the Gospel of the Nazarenes, it tells you that he was a Nazarite. Okay, now a Nazarite, picture Samson in the Bible, and it goes right there and it tells you, when you read that account, it tells you what a Nazarite is. Okay, they can't shave their hair, they can't cut off their beards, they can't even put a drop of alcohol in their body, they cannot eat animals. Okay, they're vegetarian. And and think of like Samson. This guy was a beast. Think about all the animals out there. Your gorillas, your herbivores, the ones who eat herbs and plants and fruits and vegetables. They're very healthy. They're a beast, guys. Now look at your carnivores, the ones that eat other animals. Your vultures, your hyenas. I mean, just open your eyes and look. It doesn't take much. Well, if you're a carnivore, then you definitely are going to want to consider getting off of the carnivore train and start adopting and adjusting, and we're going to work with you guys on this to have a more healthier mindset, because what you put into your temple, into your mind, into your body is going to affect everything, including drugs, smoking, cigarettes, any kind of there's so much poison, bad foods, sugars, soft drinks, it's you would be surprised when you really start practicing mindfulness and really looking deep within just how much we are actually poisoning ourselves every day and don't even know it. We are all, as a whole, committing suicide, guys. Suicide, when you think about that, it's not just an instant bam, somebody just, took their life. Yeah, no. Everybody experiences some kind of suicide. Sometimes it takes them all lifetime to do it.
And when you were saying that, I was automatically going to the conversations with God, but because throughout it, we hurt and express ourselves a certain way and think a certain way when we hear, oh, somebody committed suicide. Well, what about the slow suicide? We don't think about that. We really don't think about that. And it is brought out beautifully in the book. You sitting here smoking, you killing yourself, but it's a slow death. Right. That's committing suicide.
It's still suicide, correct.
You're drinking yourself to death, that's pickling your liver. That's slow suicide. Right. What is the difference? There is none, according to the Creator.
Right. Suicide is suicide. It's not an instant thing, guys. It's all of us. Many are committing suicide, even not even knowing it.
Exactly. So back to autonomy. Here are the steps in it. Sorry, we get sidetracked from time to time.
That's okay.
But that's okay. Let's see. So, step 12. Challenge external expectations. Question the societal norms and expectations that conflict with your values or autonomy, and embrace your uniqueness and live authentically.
There you go. So many people get caught up in, trying to impress everybody else, and they live in a fake life. They're not even real. Embrace your uniqueness. Know that you are God. Know that you are a special, beautiful being in your own way.
Yes.
Never, ever think anything different, and live like that being. Live authentically.
Yes, you are a divine individual spark of the energy source. Okay, so step 13. Practice independence. What? Cultivate independence by taking the initiative and relying on yourself to meet your needs and achieve your goals. Independence strengthens autonomy.
There you go. No truer words have been spoken. You have to make up your own mind, to make up your own choices, to be a disciplined person. You have to make up your mind on how you're going to take care of your body. You have to make up your mind on what you're going to eat to put into the body. You have to make up your mind when you're going to set up a meditation schedule. You have to make up your mind. You see, guys, it is a self-responsibility. That autonomy means that you have the ability, therefore you must exercise this ability. You have to put it into practice, because that's the way this works. You have to put it into practice because you can, and when you do, you also have to respect the autonomy of others.
And you'll reap the benefits of it.
That's right. So that's important.
It really is. So step 14, stay open to growth. Maintain a growth mindset and remain open to new experiences and perspectives. Embracing change fosters adaptability and autonomy.
There you go. You have to have that flexibility and the ability to change. So many people, you can't tell them anything because they're so set in their ways. Yeah. And unfortunately, a lot of times, the older some people get, the harder it is to really get through to them. But it's at all ages. But so many people are set in their own ways.
I like the way it brought it out here, to remain open to new perspectives.
You've got to, guys.
We put so many things in our own box, in our own world, and shut out everything else, and are not open to anything else. We got to get rid of our boxes, because our boxes divide us, and we've got to get back into that oneness mindset and the collective, the love that we're supposed to be sharing as one.
Well said. Absolutely. Yeah. It all ties in, really.
It really does. Okay, so step 15, create personal boundaries. Establish boundaries to protect your autonomy and your well-being. Clearly communicate your boundaries to others and enforce them when necessary.
That's called standing up, guys.
Yep.
Sometimes you have to. Now, you may be around a person that is against your values, and I'm telling you right now from experience, the more you start applying these laws and start going through this change yourself, the more spiritual you become, the less tolerant you become with a lot of just negative, really negative people who have no respect for you, who have no respect for your word, no respect for your belief systems, no respect for your autonomy. You know, well, if you are in a situation like that, regardless of the type of situation or type of relation, should I say, that situation is, you know, it's your choice whether you want to, you know, you have to stress your point. Okay, it can't be all give, or all take. Okay, there has to be that
the balance,
the flow. You know, that's the flow.
The law of balance. Yeah.
Yeah, there has to be the balance. So if you're in a situation where it's off balance like that, and it could be even detrimental. You know, you may have to consider, you know, doing something about it, or just getting away from people who are bringing you down, or who are bringing this really negative energy, who are not respecting you and your beliefs, your autonomy.
Exactly. You know? Well said.
And you'll spot them out.
Yeah, you will. Your intuition, your gut, your being will sense and know when someone else is stepping on your boundaries.
Yep.
So, okay. So, number 16. We're almost through these, guys. It's a few in learning the process of autonomy. So, step 16 is balance, collaboration, and independence. Find a balance between collaboration with others and maintaining independence. Collaboration can enhance autonomy when it aligns with your goals and values.
There you go. It's, you know, I see a lot of these are actual universal laws within the laws, you know, like balance. Yeah. Balance is a law.
Exactly.
You know, so you have to find the balance between really running your life and controlling your life, but at the same time keeping and maintaining a balance of that interdependence, because we do interact and interdepend on others in many areas. Yeah. Absolutely. So you have to, but you, like it says, you have to find that balance, and it's a fine line. In other words, don't give all of your power to somebody else and say, okay, I'm helpless, I can't do nothing, you know, think for me, make my decisions for me, do all this. Or you can say, no, I got this. Okay. And then when you get to a certain point in your life, you know, ooh, I think I need to get in touch with such and such. I hope they don't mind if I ask them if maybe they can help me out with something. So maintain a balance. In other words, have that respect for other people, and they'll have that same respect for you. But take the bull by the horns, guys. You have to, this is something that you have to make a deliberate decision to do.
Yes, it is. And step 17, celebrate autonomy. Celebrate your ability to make independent choices and live according to your own values. And recognize and appreciate the autonomy you have over your own life.
Think about that. When you really realize and start to put into effect this law of autonomy, and really understanding that you have the ability to do whatever you want. That's what it's about. You come into this world as a self-sufficient system. You just have to realize that.
Exactly. And by applying the law of autonomy, individuals can assert control over their lives, make empowered decisions, and live authentically according to their own values and aspirations. Autonomy fosters personal growth, fulfillment, and resilience in navigating life's challenges and opportunities. I'm going to say this right here, fulfillment. That is what we're getting to with you. So many people go through life feeling unfulfilled.
That's right.
And that's what learning these universal laws can help you to do, is feel that fulfilled, feel peace, feel achieved in things. It helps you to grow.
That's right. And all these are really based on love as well. So
yes,
we'll
and this is just one aspect of the laws of the universal laws.
Yeah.
So,
and we've got over 200 we'll be sharing, and I'm sure there's probably thousands out there, but this is like the top ones that affects us in our everyday lives.
This was actually a really long one. They're not all this long, but I wanted to cover this one simply because we opened up with it. So letting people know what autonomy really is, because a lot of people haven't heard or know what this word is. And I myself didn't until recently. And when I learned it, I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Oh, I need to start practicing more of these things.
That's right.
So, yeah, it really makes a big difference when you can learn the universal laws and apply them in your life.
Absolutely, absolutely. And now I know that I said that I was going to go ahead and pick one as well, but kind of looking at the clock on the wall, we'll just pick up on the next episode with that, because that first one was, pretty long. The autonomy did have some long ones, and I don't want to go over our time. But there are a lot of them that I'm very interested in, and I can't wait to share.
Most definitely.
As we go along deeper into the UDO system, and we start putting these things into practice, then we'll start actually really breaking a lot of these down, and really doing the actual, incorporating those laws into the practice. So
exactly.
Very
well.
Well, Miss Daphne, any final comments?
Yeah, I want to say just on the law of autonomy, the number one thing, and my takeaway from all of it is self-reflection. To go within and understand who you are, what your needs are, what your desires are, and what your values are, and exercise your own autonomy, but respect others.
That to me is the giveaway.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't think most people that I'm aware of, they're not going to have a problem trying to do stuff for themselves, But I think most people need to be more aware of that, for starters, of course, but also really start incorporating that really, really true awareness of respecting others.
Yes.
And realize that is God. That is God. And that is God. Everything is source, an expression of that source.
Exactly.
And let me ask you this, guys. If you taught this and you treated people with love, with respect, you respected their autonomy, their belief systems, treated them with love, and everybody lived by this, look around. Do you think people would be having the issues that we're having right now? I mean,
I really don't think
you really need to think about that. Most people that are out doing what we would call the crime or the evil or the bad in the world, everybody has a story, And
the illusion of separateness.
What if that person was raised a different way? What if that person was raised with real, agape love or agape love, however you want to call it, that real love, that godly love, unconditional love, and taught that, hey, you can do anything you want. You have got this. And if a child is raised a certain way, they're not going to have any thoughts trying to find their identity by getting hooked up with even the wrong crowds, because even your influences, your peers, can really play a role in a person's life when they're trying to find their identity, you see.
Exactly.
What would the world be like if everyone believed in themselves?
Exactly.
And practice this.
Just from going over these and learning these and tying it in with the conversations with God, we would be living just like the highly evolved beings that are in other universes. We would have a peace on our earth that is like the other places in the universe.
Yep.
And it takes one step at a time, putting the word out there to raise the consciousness of others, to realize that we are not separate, we do not lack, we have what we create.
Yeah. That's powerful.
Exactly.
When you really get into it, guys, this is some powerful stuff. It really, really is. It truly is.
Take back your power. We've said so many times throughout these episodes on the podcast. Take back your power. And it starts with the law of autonomy.
Yeah. It's that self-realization, guys.
Yep.
It really is. And it starts with you. Like we said, and just like we say on this episode a lot, on this podcast a lot, that, every forest starts with one tree. If you want a change in the world, you have to be that change. You have to start with you. You cannot be sitting back and thinking you're already saved, okay, and somebody else has already got your back, that you don't have to do nothing. That's not how it works. This lifestyle is a discipline. Just keep that in mind. And that's where the law of autonomy comes in, to let you know that, hey, you have the ability to do what you need to do, and it's your responsibility to do something about it.
Yes, exactly.
And to respect that of others. That's beautiful, beautiful. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up. And don't forget to go to the website, NDE.world, and hit us up over there. And we got the bookstore there. Get your copy of the book as well. And like I said, this is some really powerful stuff. And we're going to be going over it. Like we just went over just that one today, just kind of shared information on that. So there is so much more. And a lot of this is going to challenge even your belief systems, So it will change your life. So I will say that.
In the positive way.
In a very most positive way, it will help you grow. So definitely, go to NDE.world and hit the bookstore and grab the Universal Laws.
Yes, exactly.
And make this change with us, because we're still going to be sharing it with on our podcast and this series of the UDO, the Universal Divine Oneness, and the Universal laws. So
Yes.
beautiful, beautiful. Thank you all for tuning in, guys. Thank you, Daphne, for being a part of this. And we love you all. May peace be with you all. Until next time.
Y'all let your light shine.
Hello, you beautiful souls. Don't forget to visit the website, NDE.world. That is
NDE.world.